Today we're going to be talking about professionalism within web development. This is off of the back of one of the questions that I got from my 2017 top 5 web development programming languages to learn. As a side note though, I do have a top 5 for 2018. I'll put a link in the description below. Now the question was by Qasim, and I do apologize if I've mispronounced your name. He says, I've just completed learning HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and asks how much more is there to learn before he can build a professional website. So what we're going to do is break that down into 3 sections, and I'm going to be talking about that in this video. For those that are new here, my name is Peter Fisher. I'm a freelance web and mobile applications developer, and later on in this video I've got an announcement around some of the courses that I provide for programming and web development. Let's now focus on the question at hand. And like I said, I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. Let's focus on the word professional first. What is professionalism? Well, the opposite of professional is being an amateur. So that is someone who perhaps does something on the side as a hobby, sort of delves in and out of perhaps programming, web development whenever they want to. Also, being a professional often means that you get paid for your services. Now, professionalism means that you have a lot of experience behind you. It means that you're aware of certain things perhaps outside of the scope of what your client requires and needs, and therefore you can advise the client, you can build the website around those certain things. So perhaps you might be aware of security issues, perhaps you're going to be aware of performance issues or implications regarding what the client or what the website wants to do. You are aware of the SEO implications as well. You are aware of how that website is going to be used in perhaps other devices and on other things. You're aware of the performance issues as well in terms of speed and also usability. So how the user is actually going to use that. How is the client actually going to use the thing that you're going to build? So being a professional not only means that you can bring your skills in terms of knowing the language and the programming, but it also means that you can bring your experience to the table and you can share that experience and advise people. Now, I'm fully aware that there are people who do certain things that are perhaps professional but aren't being paid. So for example, you could be a volunteer and still be acting in a professional manner. Now, of course, there are certainly a lot of people who do get paid for being in a professional role but don't act professionally. And the point that I want to make here is that just because you can code something doesn't mean that you should code something. Okay, so you need to have your own principles, you need to have your own discipline, you need to understand the impact that whatever it is that you're building has on perhaps society and the users and the client and so forth. Now, the second point that I want to talk about is regarding the technology. So in the question, Qasim stated HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and that he's completed learning those 3 things. Now, those 3 things are fantastic to learn because, in my opinion, they are the 3 pillars of web development. You cannot have a website without markup. You can't have events running on the browser without JavaScript, and you can't style your application very well without CSS. Now, the thing to be careful about is that those 3 things are constantly evolving. So you'll never complete your learning of that because there's certainly more things coming out down the line on those 3 areas, as well as the other areas of web development. So what I would certainly recommend you do is read the RFCs for future improvements of perhaps HTML and CSS and so forth. What is being discussed in those kind of areas? Where is the technology going? Being aware of that and also being part of that discussion as well. I would certainly also recommend learning about browser compatibility issues, not only the issues that we have today, but the issues that are going to probably happen in the future and what has happened in the past. So all the issues with IE6. The last point that I would like to make is how you can distinguish yourself from other web developers who are swimming in the same web development ocean as you are, and that is by having a professional mindset. Even if you think that you're not actually producing a professional website or you're not being paid for your professional services, you can still have a professional mindset. You can still have a very good work ethic. You can still be dedicated, passionate about the technology. You can still learn about about what's coming up in the future, you can learn about the society impacts that has, or that your application will have on not only society but the customers and the clients and so forth. And one thing that I would certainly recommend you do is have a portfolio where you can demonstrate your learning journey, you can demonstrate your skills, and you can also start a discussion in a blog, so you can discuss what you're learning today, what you're learning tomorrow, what you learned last week, and you can also put down your opinions on where the technology is going. And hopefully that will spark off a discussion within the community. Another thing that you can do is actually be more a part of the community. So you can actually go to conferences, watch videos, have discussions, talk about web development on Twitter and those kind of things, and actually be a part of the community as a whole. And also you should surround yourself with people who are more experienced than you are, and therefore their experience can rub off onto you. I certainly wish you luck in your web development journey. Now what I'm going to do is switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the things that are happening with the How to Code Well courses that are coming up this year. In the previous video I mentioned that I wanted to do 4 courses in 2018. In fact, I've been working really hard and I've got the Linux Bash for Beginners course almost finished. I just have to edit and upload the last couple of videos. Now, I did say that I wanted to do 12 tutorials per course. Well, in fact, the Linux Bash for Beginners course is going to be 16 tutorials. And that is because there are lots of content that I want to provide to lay the foundations for perhaps future courses going forward. Now, what I've been doing is I've been putting those tutorials when they're ready up onto Patreon, so my Patreons can access those before they go live on YouTube, and they're going to go live every Tuesday on YouTube. I've got enough content in the Linux Bash for Beginners course to last me all the way up to April. So if you want to get that course in early access, do check out my Patreon page. Also, I'm going to put those on Skillshare and Udemy. And what I'm going to be doing is putting discount codes to those courses on my Patreon feed as well. Now, I certainly have ideas on what I want to do for future courses in terms of programming and other things to do with web development. If you've got any suggestions though, do let me know. Put them down in the comments section below. Thanks ever so much for watching. Happy coding everyone, and I'll be speaking to you again in either the next tutorial or the next web chat. Thanks ever so much. Cheers. Bye.